Hello and welcome to this tutorial for LEGO Harry Potter Years 1 through 4. In this video we are going over 4-5, which is the second to last level in this game, and is the only underwater level in this game. But we don't actually do much underwater gameplay apart from a bit of skipping and then a small bit of 1p2c towards the end. But yeah, starting off from here, we've got to get to the level first. That is very straightforward. We just need to make our way down to the lake. First two rooms are player 1 movement. There isn't any like skips or optimizations you can do really apart from avoiding bumping into people. This room is room 2 or player 2 movement. And you just got to make sure you're able to dodge Malfoy's crew. And then if you still have the bridge down here, you'll have access to the broomstick, for which you can use to fly over and into here. For this particular level entrance, the wrong warp that we do to get to dragons and first task and all the other levels by Hagrid's hut is not worth it. It's just quicker to go over here. And then once you're here, once you pass that blue stud, which I just collected about here, you can fire a shot to the gate and be able to go straight through. Now the one nuance to overworld tech in this game, or in this level, is this jump here. This is a bit of a weird jump. But yeah, what you want to try and do, it saves a couple seconds maybe, so if you don't feel confident going for it, there's no reason to. But basically what you've got to do is jump up onto this side of the wall here, and then from there do an edge jump, and you make it down a bit further down here, and then you can jump over and go to the level. A lot of runners struggle with that. I mean, I've played it enough that I find it pretty okay. But especially if you just want that bit of consistency and don't want to worry about taking the deaths, you can do a couple of other methods to back it up. The first of those methods, which just makes the trick, it gives you a bit more margin for error on the trick, is to switch to Hermione and put down Crookshanks. And Crookshanks has a slightly faster movement speed, which means when doing the same trick, you get a lot more leeway on it. So you don't need to edge jump as extremely, and it just becomes a little bit more simple. And you do benefit from some movement speed here. So it loses about a second or so. But you know, that's still a viable alternative. The other alternative is, of course, just walking down the stairs normally. You can take some small, like, jump shortcuts around certain things here, but they're not, you know, too impressive or saving too much time. But basically, any way you do so, once you get yourself into here, then that starts the level. So, this level, I'm gonna reload it actually. There's one very key thing at the very start of this level, and that is the angle that you hold when spawning into the level. So, I would do that here. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold directly down with player 1 and right with player 2. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to boost player 2 further forwards. And that's exactly what we need for this next section. We'll see that here. And you see player 2 gets boosted like that. And this is the kind of spacing that's actually really useful for 1p2c movement. Because you're moving both characters at the same time. Having them spaced out like this means that they're not in danger of hitting each other. You don't have to worry about hitboxes where they collide with each other, which is quite nice. So what we do from here is both characters are going to follow along the intended path on this like 2D plane. And then they're both going to go in here to pop into the foreground and continue on their way. I'm taking a path slightly higher up to avoid these squid things, and just make sure they're out of the way. And then we get down to here, and this is where the magic happens for this level. So what I tend to do on my movement over to here is I'll switch Harry onto Reducto and Cedric onto Ridiculous. And then I will position my characters like so. So Harry's up against the wall, but crucially facing outwards from it. Cedric is just anywhere here. And what we've got to do is chain X-aims like this, and you see Harry gets pushed closer and closer to the foreground, like so. And that's very important for what we need. So what I do here is I hold down with Harry as well, just to make sure he continues a little bit further forwards. It doesn't matter too much for this one in particular, but it is useful. Hold down with Harry and then fire off 10 shots in a row with Cedric. And by holding down there, you can see Harry is now clipped. Basically, Harry's clipped out of bounds now. Even though it doesn't look like it, Harry is actually clipped into the foreground, which is exactly what we want, because then we can skip the rest of the room. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the right with Harry, until we get to this bush here, at which point I'm going to go down, and then the moment I start falling, I'm going to directly switch my inputs. And you could probably hear it just about, but you can't exactly see it. Harry is now swimming, but he's swimming under the water, under the floor, basically. Incredibly useful, because it means that, yeah, Harry now has free movement under here, and we are completely out of bounds, but on the right layer, which means that any triggers and stuff will persist, and we're able to hit them. So Harry's down here. And what I like to do is your jump animation in this section gains you more height. So I tend to jump up until I can see Harry's icon appearing here. And then I'm just going to keep going right. And we hit the door for the next room. Simple as that. This next room, same thing. We go here. And we're going to clip this time with Cedric, which is why we have Harry on Reducto. But same thing with Cedric, we're going to go here, and then turn Cedric around against this kind of wall. This wall is movable, but it does the same effect. Now it's important to hold down on this one, because you have limited space behind you. So if I don't hold down, and just do the clips with Cedric, there is a chance, like this, that Cedric will go through onto the other side of this wall. If that happens, absolutely fine, because you could just go through like this. Even if you know, Leviosa this up all the way up to the top, the bottom path's still accessible, so it's not a problem. But instead, I'm going to hold down with Cedric, and I'm going to attack 3 times with Harry. And that's enough for Cedric to go out of bounds like this. Hold down a little bit more just so he drops down. There's kind of a weird wall here if you're too high up, where you can start like clipping above ground and weird collision happens. But if you're far enough down, it's not a problem. And then again, make your way to the right. This time while this is happening, I switch Harry to Wingardium Leviosa, Cedric to Lumos. I make sure Cedric stays low until we pass this kind of ridge here. So once this ridge with the clam is passed, everything after this, if you clip up in bounds, you're going to hit the trigger because there's nothing in the way. So I kind of then point up and we can hit the door like so. And this puts us in the mermaid section. Now, this mermaid section, the mermaids are kind of infamous for having, or being mildly RNG or just generally annoying. There's a few things to be careful of here. First off, the number of spawns of mermaids. There is always 2 on the near side, 2 on the far side. That's thing number 1. The second is, if you're controlling a character and 2 mermaids try and grab you at the same time, then one of the mermaids will grab your other player character and warp them over to where that mermaid is. So say I'm moving with Harry, and Harry gets grabbed by one mermaid, and then another mermaid comes up, tries to grab, but can't because the other mermaid's already grabbing Harry. Then Cedric will get grabbed and brought over, like immediately warped over to where that mermaid is. It's a very annoying thing that can happen in the second layer of this section. So you really need to kind of look out for it. But to start off with, the first thing is Cedric will use Lumos on this, and then use Wingardium Leviosa on this. And Harry is going to position himself about here and just spam attacks. Basically, this will take out this, and then once this is dealt with, the second of them, or I think both actually, of the mermaids on this side will be targeted by Harry. So we should at least get one shot off on the second mermaid in this case. And then we get hit with this camera pan. So what we're going to do now, immediately as we come out of this camera pan, don't want to do that, but I want to target with Cedric. Sorry, I need to go up a bit. Target with Cedric and hit this. Harry's going to go to the right. And again, still spamming shots because there could still be a mermaid here. Isn't, which means we got rid of the mermaid, which is nice. But then, of course, Harry's going to use Leviosa on this. Cedric, meanwhile, is going to come over to this side and use Leviosa on this. And we might be able to see a warp here, depending on what this mermaid does. But normally what I tend to do right now to deal with these mermaids is I will fire off a shot with Harry. And Cedric, I will mash A on Cedric to break out. And then try and take out this mermaid as well. Okay, I don't know what happened to this mermaid, but it's got severely stuck, but that's not a bad thing. What you'll notice here is this last anchor can actually be Wingardium Leviosa by Harry as well, which is very useful. I think, yeah, that one got done. And then the targeting can also be done by Harry here. And you can finish off kind of the section with either character. You kind of play it by ear based on how the mermaid RNG is. I'll show that last room again, but I'll show it faster. Okay, so if you were going to do this level as if you were in a run, you start off like this. So Harry's taken out a mermaid and all the coral around the teleporting thing. And then Harry's going to head to the left here. Oh, sorry, to the right. While Cedric targets this. So yeah, Harry's got rid of both near side mermaids now. Cedric is going to grab this. And I'm going to be in a position here with Harry to be able to use magic. I might get warped here. Yeah. So that's the warping effect kind of in action. But thankfully we're far enough along because we got all the Wingardium Leviosas off that in this case it doesn't matter too much. You kind of have to just get used to and react to what you need to do in that section. But at the end, that one ended up being played pretty well. But yeah, that's it for this this level. We have one more level left, which is 4-6, and that will be played, or that will be done in the next video. But thank you for watching.